Hi all, welcome to the channel, welcome to the workshop. So today we've got the next pack of the Supra. I don't think there's much to do with the chassis itself, but we do have the rear mudguards I think to sort of go in, but the rest of it I think is all rear subframe. Quick shout out to Pitstain Hobbies, Ian Schwartz, thank you very much for the t-shirt. Figured I'd feature it on my next video, which is this one. But as I say, not a great deal to do with the chassis, building up the rear subframe, so let's get into it. Let's get building.
Welcome to the workshop, tools in the light, screws and glue, they're holding it tight. Piece by piece, it's a builder's delight, making dreams in the still of the night. Let's get into it, let's get building now. Put it all together, I'll show you how. Screw by screw and a little glue too. Welcome to the workshop, it's waiting for you.
Right, so here we are, next pack of the Supra. Now, I think the only thing we're doing with the chassis is in this one, and then the rest of these are all rear subframe. So at the minute, it looks like it is sort of going the way I sort of predicted it would be, which is a little bit more like the Batmobile, not like the Skyline. Right, so I'll just bring the chassis over. Now, these are marked left and right, which is useful. Got a little L and R on there. So left one, right one. I'm assuming these are marked the same. Yep. So left and right. So the first thing we're going to be doing is taking this piece, and that's just going to push in there. Got a couple of lugs. There we go. Just make sure that's fully in. Now, what I'll do is I'm actually going to do this a little bit out of order, but we'll get this side in as well. Next up, we have this piece. That's just going to sit in like so. Obviously, same with this one on this side. We've got two AM screws here and an IP screw to go in here. Obviously, same on this side, 2 AM and 1 IP. So with the metal ones, obviously just dipping them in a little bit of oil. You may notice I've got a new screwdriver, little gift from Mike Lane and Vera Tools. If you want one of these, obviously head over to Mike Lane's website where you can buy them. As you can hear, there's a little ratchet one. I figured I would try it on my next build and see how I get on with it. Right, these ones are just going into plastic. And then we've got the NM screws. We've got 2 in each of these. And these are the flanged screws. Right, so that's those in. Now, I think that is the only thing we need the chassis for. So you can see all the wheel arch is now complete. So I'm going to put this back up on the shelf and we'll move on to the next pack, or next issue, I should say. Right, so issue 28. And it does seem like the consensus was to go through the magazine with each stage. So that's what I'm going to continue doing. So not much to do on there, but it looks like we've just got the first part of the rear axle. Right, so here are our parts. We've got a nice bit of metal there. These two little brackets are metal, this bit's plastic. There's this bit of plastic that we need first of all. And that is going to go in this way around, just matching up that little notch with this point here. I'm going to hold that in with 2 IM screws. Now the screwdriver's got a pH 0 bit in, but it did come with a couple of other bits as well. So if I want to use a pH 1 or a pH 2 bit, I believe, I've got those to hand as well. You might see me switch between this and my regulars, rarer screwdrivers as well. So that's that in there, like so. And then we have these 2 brackets. Now they are marked, apparently, with a left and a right. So that, yeah, that one's an L. Just checking, this one's also got an R on it. Camera's probably not going to pick it up. It's tiny, just in there. So flipping the chassis this way around, this is the left side. So the left one is going in here. Just trying to work it out. It goes this way around. So it's got a little chamfer on the edge there. And it's that chamfer you want on the outside. Obviously, the right one is going to go on this side. Again, same way around with that chamfer on the outside. I'm going to use a BM screw in each of those. I have to say, having this little ratchet screwdriver actually is making short work of some of these screws. So that's in there like so. And that is all there is to do in that stage. Right, so that moves us on to issue 29. And continuing the rear axle and just building that up so we have this at the end of it. Now, quite a weighty pack, so there's definitely some metal in here. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if most of this is metal. So that's metal, 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 metal. The whole pack is metal, apart from probably these 2 little parts here. We've got some LM and some BM screws. First thing we need is this piece, and we need these plates. Now they are again stamped with an L and an R to make sure you're getting the right way around. So this is the left side, this is the right side, and they're going to go on just like that. I'm going to secure those with some BM screws, 2 in each of those. Let me know in the comments if you're building this as well, or what else you're building. Right, so that's those 2 brackets put in place like that. Then we need these pieces. Again, they are stamped with an L and an R to make sure you get them the right way around. They're just going to go into these pots just here. So going in between those brackets we just put on, which might be worth just loosening that off a little bit, make it a little bit easier to get this in. So that's in there. We're going to use an LM screw to secure that in place. I'm just going to go from this side, and again do the exact same thing for that side. Now these LM screws are quite long. Just retighten that one a little bit. So we obviously want that to move. So just make sure it does. And do the exact same thing for this one. Again, just going to loosen off this one, just because it makes it a little bit easier to get this one to go in. Another one of these long LM screws. Did everyone see the Agora model stand at Scale Model World? The Orca is coming to the channel. I believe it's going to start shipping in January. So that's going to be a fun build. Right, so with those in, we now need these two silver parts. Now, I'm not actually sure what these are. Brake hose connections. And they're going to go into the holes that we see here and here. Now, there probably really isn't a right and a wrong way up, but the instructions do show it this way up. So you've got the two little steps facing that way. Now we're going to actually join these two parts together. And that's just going to go like so. So just line up these two holes with these two lugs here. Get that pushed into place like so. And then we've got two BM screws to hold that in place. Next, we're looking at this side, which is the left side. We've got these little brackets. Now, these are marked left and right. So we've got two here, one bigger, one smaller. That's the right pair, and this is the left pair. And these are just going to sit in here. Now, they are shaped, as you can see, to fit there nicely. So the larger one goes on this part, and the smaller one goes on this part. Again, two more BM screws will hold those in place. And we'll do the exact same thing for the other side as well. Now, we'll just switch to this screwdriver, just because that stubby one doesn't have quite a long enough shaft to get right down and tighten these up. And as I said, can do the exact same thing for this side. Again, just double check that they are both marked with an R, which they are. And with that screw, that is the end of that stage. Right, so we're going to move on to stage 30. Obviously, got this nearby because we're just building up more of that. So we've got rear stabilizer bar and shock absorbers. So more shocks to do. And we'll have that at the end of it with the shocks. Again, more metal parts, you've already heard those. And then a mat sort of cushions it a little bit. So that's plastic. They're metal. Just plastic details. Shocks are going to be metal. And obviously, springs are also metal as well. Nice strong springs on that. Now, I think these shocks actually go together pretty much the same as what they did on the front ones. So we've got this little sleeve, like so. We have the lower part of the shock. We've got this hole just here, and we've got this channel in here. need to remember to put the spring on first. So again, making sure that hole is at the front there, lining up with that channel. We're going to put a QM screw through there. Now we might need to compress it a little bit just to get that QM screw to sit in that channel. These QM screws are tiny as well. So again, just double check that your channel is facing upright. A little bit of pressure. And that's in there, and that's locked in place. Doing exactly the same for this one. Again, just making sure that channel faces upwards. Now, these are quite short threads on this one, and because we don't want this one working loose or anything, if it moves, I've chosen not to put any oil on this particular screw. So that one is in there. And again, that will compress perfectly. Now I need to take our stabilizer bar. We need to take these parts. And we've got one going like so. And the other one like so. This way, I think. So they sort of splay outwards. Like that. Going to secure those on the ends with 2 IM screws from this direction. So from outside to in. Or inside to out, I should say. Now, being an IM screw, this little piece is metal. So I'm just going to pop it through that hole and then screw it into this one. Now I've not done those up tight, as you can see, so they still have some movement, and probably tighten this one a little bit more. We're now going to be placing this on here. So this is going to sit onto these 2 parts here, but these 2 parts need to go under those 2 arms. So it's going to sit just like that. Then we've got these 2 brackets, which are just going to hold this in place. We're going to secure those onto there with 2 HM screws. The PH0 screwdriver is definitely your friend in this build. So many tiny screws. I think I am enjoying using the little ratchet one as well. But as I said, I'm probably going to mix it up a little bit, depending on what build I'm doing. So, again, another shout out to Rare Tools. I say Rare Tools, I'm sure it's like, it might be Vera Tools, Vera Tools, but it starts with a W. So, I do apologise if I'm butchering your name. But, as I said, if you need any of these tools, you can head over to Mike's website and get them direct from him, because he is a authorized reseller, I think, of these. Right, so now we just need to take this arm, line up those pieces there, like that, and using an IM screw, get that secured in. Like so. Same on this side. So that is all together like so. Now we're going to be mounting our shocks. So with our subframe this way up, this is going to go just over there like so, and we're going to secure that with a DM screw through there. Do the same thing for this side. So that's in just like that, and that is all there is to do in that stage. Right, so almost at the end of this build pack. Just 2 stages left to go in this one. So a rear differential now. And again, that's going to be added into the subframe as well. Right, so again, we've got some metal parts here as well. And plenty of screws. So the first thing we're going to be doing is assembling the 2 rear differential dust covers. Now, as a keyhole pattern, as you can see. That's just going to push together like so. We've got the detail part facing upwards. Exactly the same thing for this one. Then going to take this piece, and that's going to go on here again, matching up that keyhole pattern. We're going to use an IP screw through the center there to secure that in place. So that's that one in there, and then the other one is going to go onto this side. Very clever design they've done here, because you can imagine if they'd molded that as a one piece, it would be really difficult to try and get your screwdriver to go into that other side. Going back to this one, we need this piece, and you can see we've got a set of patterned holes there. That's just going to push on the end there, just into those recesses. And then we're using 4 CP screws to secure that in place. Now, I did see recently on the Fanhome customer support page that the final pack of the Skyline is sort of getting prepared. We won't have the replacement parts for the doors or the stripes or anything, but at least we can potentially finish the Skyline. So that'd be good. Now, if you do want to finish your Skyline, obviously, I'm going to do mine as well. So when we come to actually getting the replacement parts for the stripes, I can show you how to sort of tear it apart as well. Now we need this piece. That's going to sit in the end just there. We're going to capture that with this piece, which is going to sit on top there. Surprised we didn't have differential gears in this one, considering we built a clutch. Yeah, could have had a proper differential. We're going to secure that with 2 IM screws. Now going to bring over our sub-assemblies in, or subframe, and we're going to drop the differential in just here. It's going to line up with those 2 holes and these 2 holes here. It's going to go that way up. So we've got 2 IM screws to secure that in place. Nope. 2 BM screws will secure that in place. And then we need 2 CP screws to go through these 2 holes here. So that's the differential in like so. Put that to one side for a minute. So now I'm going to take these three parts and assemble them together. So the first thing we've got is this piece going in here. That's just a push fit. Push it all the way down. So it looks like that. And then this is going onto this plate. Now you can see there's a keyhole pat or a stud and a hole. So just going to push that in like so. And then we've got a DP screw to hold that in place. And with that in there, we bring it over our Subframe again, and this is going to go just in here. Now it's just got 4 studs, 4 locating pegs. I'm just going to push that on like so. Now that doesn't screw in. Seems a little bit loose, but I think it'll stay there. Obviously, if it feels a bit loose, then you could glue it. But it's always going to be that way up, so in theory it shouldn't fall out, etc. But that is all there is to do in that stage. So, 32, last one of the pack. So we've got rear, left knuckle and brakes. So we're building up all of this part. So presumably the next stage will be building up the same, but on the other side. But that'll have to wait for next time. I have to say, I do like the discs on the Supra. They are really, really nice. And I'm kind of hoping that Mike Lane will do something like this for the Skyline. Because the Skyline, in comparison, is pretty rubbish. And obviously, these are actually on show because they're through the alloy wheels. But we'll see what happens in the future. Right, so first one we need is this piece, and that's a nice chunk of metal again. And with it this way around, this is going to slip over there like so. And we're going to secure that in place with a GM screw. Next up, we need this piece. And that's going to go over the top of here. We're going to secure that in place with an OM screw. Now, when you put that screw in, you do need to make sure it goes straight, otherwise it will end up flaring out this end piece and could snap it. So that's in there. Next, we need this piece. And this is just going on the top, like so. And we need an MM screw for that one. Yep, it actually goes on this one. MM screw in here. Then we need our brake shield, and that's going to go on here. And we're going to use 2 QM screws to secure that in place. And with that in there, we're going to now build up our disc. So we've got this, and we have this, and we have the hub. And this is pretty much exactly the same as we did the front ones. So we've got the 3M tape on there. Just double check we get this the right way around, because as you can see, it will only line up one way with those lugs and the. I want to keep calling them screw holes, but they're not screw holes. They're basically for this to sit into. Right, so just take the backing off that 3M tape. And we just line up those lugs and get that stuck in place. So that's our brake disc. That's now going to sit in there. And then lining up these 3 lugs, that's just going to sit over the top. Now this hub will only line up one way with the brake disc. So that's all pushed in there. Now we can put that on there. As you can see, spins beautifully. Going to secure that with an NM screw, but we do need this little washer as well. So that little washer goes in there. And then our NM screw, which is a flange screw, it's just going to go in here. Now you don't want this too tight, otherwise your wheel won't spin. But you don't want it too loose either, otherwise your wheel might fall off. So as you can see, that's perfect. Not enough that it spins really freely, but also not so loose that this hub is loose. As you can see, it doesn't wobble. Next up, we need our caliper. That's just going to go on the back there. Going to use 2 CP screws to secure that together. So that's our caliper on there. And then we're going to be taking this and mounting it to the subframe. So that's going to line up with that hole just there. We're going to use an MM screw for that one. And then we can line up this arm. Oh, I've actually put that in upside down. So let's just swap that over. Easy fix. So it should go this way up. And then we can line that up and it will go around this shock. Going to secure that with 2 RM screws from this side. So just lining that hole up. That's 1 RM screw. And then again, just making sure that this hole is actually lined up before you put the screw in. And we get the second one in like so. Next up, we need this little cup, and that's going to sit in there. And we're going to use a BM screw to secure that in place through the center there. Then placing that arm in there, I'm going to use another RM screw from this side. I'm going to get that one secured as well. Again, just try and get your hole lined up. And then next we have one of our drive shafts. So we've got this little boot that's going to go on like so. And then this is going to go on like that. And I'm basically going to be putting this in between the differential and the hub there. And then just going to push these covers one over that side, and then the second one over this side. Like so. Now I have to say that was much easier doing it like that than we did on the Skyline. Obviously, the Skyline, we had this all built up first, and then we had the shafts coming off it, if I remember rightly. It was a long time ago we did that, but now I have realised I've actually forgotten to put this brake hose in as well. So that's just going to go over the top of here. It's quite stiff, so I'm just going to get a little bit of hot water and warm that up. There you go. A little bit of hot water, and that slides on beautifully. And the other end of this needs to go onto our little brake manifold. Right, so that's on there as well. And the last thing we need to do is put this brace in. And that's going to go across like that. We've got 2 BM screws to secure that in place. Now, the very last thing we need to do is actually connect this arm to this point here. Now, as you can see, I now can't move that, so just going to undo this screw. Then just rearrange that. To be fair, it might have been a better option to have left that piece till last anyway and put it in now. But we need another RM screw that's going to go through there. Right, to make that easier, because this is not going to go in there, I'm actually going to undo this part and take that little cup off there. I think this has been done in a little bit of a backwards order, if you ask me. Right, so taking those off, we now have easy access, as you can see, to this screw here. And we can make sure that goes in nice and straight and parallel. Just like that. And now, this is the point I think this should have been done. And I think when it comes to doing the next one, I'm going to try and remember to do this. So that back in there, that down there, and then this RM screw back in here. So much easier. And that is now all there is to do in that stage. So that is now our rear subframe. And if I just grab the chassis down, we can have a quick look at how it's sort of going to sit in here. I'll flip it up that way. It's going to sit, I'm guessing, like that. Not sure where the suspension is going to go. Probably something we're going to build up on that. But that's how that's going to sit in there, just like that. Tape is coming apart for these. I might glue these in, to be fair. That way they're not going to come undone. But that tape's not very good. Might need just to get some better tape. But that's where we are at the minute. And I'll probably leave that sort of roughly in place and just put the chassis on top of it. That way it's sort of out the way. But that is all there is to do in that stage. And all there is to do in that build pack. Thank you very much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please remember to hit the like button below and give us a massive thumbs up. So that's the Supra done for another month. Looks absolutely fantastic. Obviously, built up this piece, which is quite a weighty chunk of metal. Obviously, a lot of metal components have gone into that. We've obviously built up this left side. I can only assume that next time we're going to be building up this right-hand side. And you never know, maybe it'll get mounted to the chassis. Be interesting to see whether we end up with a rolling chassis with this one, like we have done with a few of our other builds as well. And we have got at least 2 wheels at the moment, so that's a start. Obviously, if you want to get this for yourself, check out the links below. If it's still available from Fanhome, then just follow the links below and get yourself your very own Supra. Now, I think there's a few more vehicles that are still available. I think the Skyline is still available, and I believe the Dodge Charger is also available. So there are a few more Fast and Furious vehicles available as well from Fanhome. So again, check out those below. Now, this one does look absolutely fantastic, as I say. I think this is probably just going to go back up on the shelf, and I'll probably just place this underneath. Although what I could do with some of these loose parts, I could put them in this fancy little bag that I've got now. Again, thank you, Mike, for that. I also want to take another opportunity to give a bit of a shout out to the Hobby Time Modelers crew, mainly Ian Schwartz over at Pitstain Hobbies, and also Todd McWilliams over at mypartworks.com, aka Marvel Phoenix. And just to say thank you for coming over. It was absolutely brilliant getting to meet you face to face. Obviously, we went around the Scale Model World, had a bit of a meet up there, and also had a meal out along with Mike Lane and Mike Jenkins over at Build and Tinker. So I'll link all of their sites, YouTube channels, etc., all below. So check all of those out. And it was absolutely fantastic meeting you. And obviously, another fantastic thing is they came down to Plymouth. So we had a little bit of a snoop around Mike Lane's workshop. Absolutely fantastic place to be. And I am really, really privileged to only live about 15 minutes away from Mike's. So really, really privileged for that. And yeah, I'm sure at some point he's going to get fed up with me knocking on his door. But yeah, why wouldn't you if you're that close to him to see the Aladdin's Cave that is all the lights and bells and whistles that goes on in Mike's shop. If you haven't seen that video, I'll pop it up here. Ian over at Pitstain Hobbies has also done a video, so again, follow the links below as well. But for now, that is it, and hopefully you've enjoyed this video today, and I'll hopefully see you on the next one. Cheers.